Hello everyone, my name is Said Al-Zuhairi. I am a cybersecurity student, master's degree at Grand Canyon University. My presentation today is called Innovations in Security Frameworks, Organization, Cybersecurity Policy, and Executive Summary, presented for my professor Jamain Mango on May 20th, 2026. Framework. Acting with the Chief Executive's authority, we determined that adopting the NIST architecture represent our premier strategy for safeguarding critical assets because our organization serves prominent global and domestic market leaders. We must implement frameworks aligned with international and regional legal mandates. This ensures the defense and probability that innovations and mitigates the risk of illicit data leaks. NIST procedure. To begin, I will introduce the National NIST Institute of Standard and Technology as an agency under the U.S. Department of Commerce focusing specifically on the NIST cybersecurity framework. This model assists diverse enterprises in identifying, monitoring, and mitigating digital threats while safeguarding critical networks and information. NIST frameworks starts from identify, protect, detect, respond, and recovery stages. Identify. This is the first stage that enable users to identify the threat that might attack their network. Protect after identifying the threat. Here comes the stage that can apply to an AST framework and protect data. Detect. This stage is when the system detects possible threat based on the identification standard that was set in stage one. Respond. This is the take action stage to react against the threat that was detected. And the recovery after taking the action or response to threat detection in the previous stage. The framework will develop activities to restore regular system capabilities and normal operation status. Why we use cybersecurity framework? The provided case study indicates that NOOKINC suffered various security breaches, including data leaks, spear phishing campaigns, and social engineering exploits. In response, a comprehensive security policy will be rolled out to all staff and contractors. Initial phases will focus on mandatory cybersecurity awareness training across all corporate tiers. Furthermore, the organization will enforce stricter identity management by implementing the principle of least privilege alongside continuous auditing and log monitoring at every operational level. Executing these strategies and initiatives requires transitioning the network from its vulnerable factory the default setting to Telluride and hardened configuration that aligns with company needs. We will deploy the core stage of the NIST framework. Applying NIST framework stage. Individual elements identification. Every staff member must adhere to stringent protocols prohibiting the opening of correspondence from unverified senders or launching an vetted attachment prior to anti-phishing inspection. Active Directory administrators will configure rigorous group policy objects across mail servers and untrusted traffic, alongside establishing routine backup cycle to preserve information continuity. Maintain environment optimization by ensuring all infrastructure remains fully patched, deployed robust and encryption standards, and managing permission via multi-factor authentication (MFA). Privacy principles, the fundamental defensive priorities that every enterprise priorities center around the CIA triad, which is the confidentiality, integrity, availability, and authenticity. Regulatory and legal standard. As I previously noted, noted, integrated the NIST methodology across the organization yields significant advantage at every tier, bolstering our overall defense posture and installing superior protection habits. Furthermore, its optimized operational efficiency elevates brand credibility and unlocks avenues to secure larger public sector. User policy identification. Deploying an organizational user policy fundamentally streamlines admissions by standardizing configurations across profiles. Unifying these environmental ensures personnel cannot access restricted direction. Ultimately, these structures safeguard the piece's risk suffered during initial threat assessment. Vulnerabilities present themselves in diverse ways, ranging from physical hazard like grid, blackouts, and or environmental um, attack to advanced attack vectors specifically aimed to compromising corporate infrastructure. Conclusion. Assuming the role of Chief Information Security Officer entails imminent accountability, it demands a thorough grasp of organizational infrastructure and network architecture, followed by comprehensive evaluation of current defensive measures and active tooling. A CISO must determine the overall maturity, resilience, and operational training of the technical workforce while mapping potential exposure uh, avenues that malicious actors might exploit. Ultimately, this role requires establishing optimal risk reduction strategies and formalizing comprehensive security policy to guide the entire workforce. Let's say IT task and data classification and protection. Overview of IT infrastructure administration. Deploying preventive tools and utilities is an absolute requirement within modern business environments. Implementing standard firewalls and endpoint protection software serves as an essential forward looking defense practice. Comprehensive risk reduction relies on multiple strategies, beginning with instructing personnel on safe digital behavior, maintaining software lifecycle updates, and ensuring prompt patch management. Furthermore, organizations should utilize virtual private network VPNs to uh, obfuscate public facing infrastructure. Administrators must also enforce strict authorization by monitoring the entry logs, banning unmanaged personal endpoints from the internet, closing network ports, and actively auditing structural baseline log to isolate and block the activities. Impact classification. An organization should always maintain documented backup course of action in the event of security breach or cyber attack. This alternative process serves as the primary means of restoring critical data from backups and regaining operational control of system affected by unauthorized access. Such procedures must be clearly detailed within the incident response and contingency plan, including defined responsibilities for personnel involved in each stage of the response. In practical terms, the plan should identify who is authorized to perform specific action and when those actions must be occur. Establishing these guidelines helps reduce confusion and panic during an incident because security staff are regularly trained through simulated response exercises. These drills prepare personnel to recognize threats, report incidents, and escalate alerts through the appropriate chain of command within established time frame. Notification should be communicated internally within 24 hours and, when necessary, reported promptly to relevant local and federal authorities to support an effective emergency response. Cybersecurity infograph here. We have cybersecurity tips here. It's one of them is late updates lead to long-term vulnerabilities, and then employees demonstrate risky behaviors. OWASP. During my research for this assignment, I came across an informative resource dedicated to the OWASP framework and web application security best practices. The site provides detailed guidance for a developer on identifying, assessing, and mitigating common security vulnerabilities that frequently affect web application. It highlights many of the most critical and emerging cybersecurity threats facing organizations today and serves as a valuable reference for building secure software. One particularly useful feature of the resource was a comparison between the OWASP top 10 list published in 2017 and 2021. The comparison illustrates how the threat landscape has evolved and identify the most significant risks that continue to impact web applications. This risk include injection attacks, broken authentication mechanism, exposure of sensitive data. Securing application and executive summary. There are numerous methods for securing application, especially since modern businesses and industries depend heavily on software systems to support their daily operations. One of the most effective approaches is following OWASP recommendations and staying informed about newly identified vulnerabilities and emerging threats. Security weaknesses within an application can affect not only developers but also end users, business partners, and the organization itself. For example, improper security configurations may create opportunities for injection, attacks, and other exploits that can result in severe operational and financial consequences. Another important practice is conducting regular security audits and assessment while applications are often evaluated during development and testing phase. Encrypting data both in transit and at rest helps reducing the risk of unauthorized access, whether the threat originates from external attacks or malicious insider. In addition, implementing strong authentication and access control mechanisms can protect digital assets by ensuring that only authorized users have access to critical system and information. These measures provide visibility into system activity, strengthen control over user access, and enable security team to quickly identify, investigate, and resolve potential issues before they negatively affect business operations. Together, these practices contribute to a more resilient and secure application environment capable of defending against both internal and external threats. And here is my reference. Hopefully, you like it. Have a great night.